Of course, my mic is muted. The one time I'm like super prepared. Anyway, hello everybody and welcome back to the BUSR and the 5th round of the Formula 1 Winter Championship. We are starting the second half of the season today and with a very interesting track. We're going to Silverstone, but it's going to be in reverse. I have no idea what's to come. Max, what are your thoughts?
Yes, hello everybody. Pleasure to be back once again. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I feel like this race can go in one of two aspects. A lot of action, a lot of carnage, especially with a circuit not many drivers have really driven many laps on before. Or it could go the complete opposite direction, where it's potentially a bit more of something like a procession. We're just waiting on the strategy in those final few laps for the drivers to make their moves. So I feel like we're going to have a very one of two extremes race here, Dan. I think it's going to go either one or two ways. And yeah, it should be interesting either way, though.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of strategy, from what I'm hearing and reading in the channels, it's looking like it's going to be a 2-stop race today. Apparently, it's 2 seconds quicker than a 1-stop. So, going to have lots of opportunity for strategy to play its thing and maybe make a difference in the end here. At the moment, we have got 17 drivers in the lobby. Of course, we still got a few minutes to go here, and the weather is uncertain. So, this may be quite an exciting race. I'm seeing a few drivers here that I haven't seen before, I think, so maybe a few new promotions from Lobby 2, adding some chaos, sprinkling it a little bit into the race. And let's talk about some of the championship standings here. So, I don't remember much about the championship standings, to be honest, so you take it away, Max.
Yeah, of course, championship standings. Well, of course, last time out we saw the Chris's Pinacoris, unfortunately for his sake, lose his first race of the season, but he is still over 70 points clear. He's 71 points clear of last gen Newt in second, and that's without using his drop round yet. Who, of course, occupies in second place. It's 204 to Pinacoris, 133 to last gen Newt. Only further 2 points back, though, from Newt is the man who did that disqualification to P1, Josh Woolley. So he's in third place, followed by Liam Doherty on 88, Luke Sawyer on 80, reigning champion at 6th. A lot of work to do if he wants to try break into the top 3 over the course of these remaining rounds. And it's Jordan Pinnock 7th, Josh Hughes 8th, Ben Go in 9th, and then Alex Lansdale in 10th with 37 points. But even though he didn't win last time out, it was still a second place for Pinacoris and Imola. And if he just carries on this rate of first and seconds, this championship surely's his.
Well, some interesting thing to mention now is, unless he's changed his name, I don't see him in the lobby, and they are getting ready to go into qualifying now, so potentially Pinacoris loses some valuable points today, and yeah, I don't know what's happening. It is now loading into qualifying, and he's still not here as far as I can tell, so unless he's changed his name on like Steam or whatever, then I don't know. But as you mentioned, with such a big lead, he doesn't really have too much to worry about. He can use this as his drop round, whereas other drivers who may have had to use a drop round would not be gaining as much of an advantage.
Yeah, certainly, of course. I mean, you got to use your drop round strategically. I mean, you don't want to use it on a no-show. You want to just use it on your worst result. But for Pinacoris, if it has to come as a drop round for, unfortunately, a no-show, it's still, he's 70 points clear at this rate. And I think Josh Woolley has used his drop round, and last gen Newt, I'm not sure he's used his one yet. So if Pinacoris does use one tonight, last gen Newt, second in the standings, hasn't used one yet. And it does open the championship up ever so slightly, but it still leaves that massive gap to be filled between Pinacoris and second place, even if the other driver does get that race victory, because there won't be too many points on offer, and it will still leave it just over a race win away, which, if Pinacoris comes back and then wins instantly, that gap goes up and up and up.
Yeah, and, well, looks like we're heading into qualifying now, so, let's see who can steal the crown if he isn't here. And, I mean, I don't know about you, I'm not seeing his
Oh, he's
name
not
on...
here.
Yeah, I'm not seeing his name on the timing tower. But there are
Uh,
multiple
uh,
drivers heading out now. Oh, this is weird. The pit lane in reverse is so strange. Oh, I look forward to this. Got Ender Epic out front, leading the pack on the first exploratory lap. Got a few drivers on intermediate tyres as well. There is a single point for Inter's pole, as well as for the overall pole later. So a few drivers will be attempting the Inter's pole here, and with Pilocoris not in the mix, it may actually go to someone else for once.
Actually, could. I think every race this season, Pilocoris has got that intermediate pole, so it could certainly go to somebody else, someone like Josh Woolley in that championship fight. Of course, there's 50 points on offer for a race victory, and then 2 for pole position. Of course, the Inter's pole, and then the main actual race pole. So it can actually leave quite a nice margin between Josh Woolley or Last Gen Ute against Pilocoris, but we're about to see Ben Mills attack this circuit first. It still feels so... I've not commentated on this circuit in this layout before, so it's very odd seeing the drivers head around Abbey and down at the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight in this direction. But as we head up into the first couple of corners of Club and the Vale chicane down to third gear, a technical part of the circuit, difficult to get right down to third gear, slowly brings that car back onto the power and then up into Stowe. Backwards, it's got a lot of natural understeer. The car just wants to dance out from underneath you. It's a little bit off camber. As you open up that DRS now, down the hanger straight and into Chapel, Beckett's and Maggots. You got to say it backwards because that's the order it's in as you now head onto the brakes for fifth gear and then through the right-hander and then leading all the way through Maggots, and this of course heading into Copse Corner. It's not as flat out as it is in the normal layout. You just got to have a little bit of a lift down to 7th gear and then open up that DRS as you head down the National Pitch straight. 2 DRS zones. We don't have one hanging going up into the Wellington straight. It's only down the National Pitch straight for this one as we exit through Luffield and then into Brooklands, another difficult corner where the car just wants to step out underneath you due to the camber, and then up that Wellington straight and into the likes of the loop as you head through Aintree and now braking at 100 metres down through the loop down to third gear. This part of the circuit is kind of like how it is going the normal way, just of course the corners have been changed around in their overall format before you then head through Farm Curve and then into Abbey. This is a lap of Silverstone reverse up to the line for Ben Mills, and it is going to be a 25.5 as the benchmark for this evening.
Yeah, fantastic stuff there from Ben Mills early on, seeming to be quite on pace by the looks of it. I wanted to say something earlier and I completely forgot what it was, so let's just continue talking about the drivers here. Got more people coming across the line, CT08 setting their first lap. So it looks like the benchmark time will be in the low 125s. If I was to guess, maybe we'll see someone in the high 124s.
Yeah, that really is, I would say, the benchmark for this evening. Is probably a 0.1 or a 0.2 in those 25s, but you never know, the track could ramp up exponentially as we see Buckets Gaming head through the final couple of corners. Wouldn't be surprised if they've backed out of a lap because they were de-racing just then. And a 1 minute 30.8 doesn't seem to be too representative as Luke Sawyer now puts himself up into second place. Josh Woolley is on Inter's pole. He's currently occupying a 30.6. Actually puts him 2 tenths clear of Buckets Gaming as the rest of the drivers like FZR Dale, Alex Lansdowne now heading up to the line. Can he snatch Inter's pole away? Yes, he can snatch Inter's pole away. So for Josh Woolley, that could be a crucial point. Not on the cards for him this evening because Alex Lansdowne just snatched it right from his feet.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh, I forgot. Where was he in the standings? I feel like he's quite high up.
Third.
Yeah, so if he wants to have any shot at the championship, he needs to take every single point he can get. So I have a feeling that Josh will probably be going for another Inter's lap here in a moment. I believe they only have a few minutes to do this, though, so I think he may only have time for one more if he was to go for it. But, yeah, I mean, a point is a point, and although I don't think we've seen many championships decided in the BUSR by only a single point, they have been decided by a small handful of points before, and I'm sure Josh would be absolutely devastated if he lost out on the championship by not getting into pole when it's so possible.
Yeah, it really could. I mean, there's a first time for everything, and if it is losing out by a point, Josh Woolley can come back to this race and potentially Austria as well and be like, those are the valuable points I missed out on. And it's just unfortunate to see if that would happen come the end of the season, but you never know. Ender Epic, not sure if he's still pushing on to a lap. We'll quickly check as he heads through Brooklyn. See this final, this middle sector split. He's down by 0.2 of a second. I don't really see him finding this one back to the McLaren. We'll probably bring this one into pit lane. I actually think as well here, Dan, that the pit lane in the reverse layout is quicker than the pit lane in the normal layout. I'm not too sure if that's correct or not, but I think it is, just due to the fact, of course, you've got a lot less braking distance on the way into the pit lane entry compared to what it is on the normal lane.
Oh yeah, I suppose that's true actually. Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that the pit limit is that pit limiter speed is still on the same positions. Then yeah, that would make complete sense to me. And then you've got just a massive straight at the end of the pit lane to accelerate.
Yeah, you do. I think it is. I think it is a little bit quicker.
It looks to be the same position where the pit ends. So yeah, you just got a long straight to accelerate into this first corner.
Yeah, up into Stowe. You cut off all the Vale and Club, of course. Of course, you're probably a little bit slower overall in terms of time gained or time lost compared to people that are driving around. But the overall being in the pit lane is actually quicker because, of course, instead of them braking into Vale and then slowly heading through Club, they're on the throttle all the way through it, and the same from Abbey. So you may lose more time, but it is a quicker pit lane. Jinka is on a lap time in the middle sector, up by 700, so 1 minute 2.2. As he now makes his way up through into the loop. It'll be braking at 100 meters down to third gear over that inside apex curve. Bring the car out wide. Very easy to understeer, especially through that first part, of course, Village Corner. As you then head through Farm and then into Abbey. What's this going to be for Jinka as he makes his way through the final corner? It was not an improvement. Backed off, I think, near the end there. But still, 6th fastest. But plenty of drivers who did intermediate laps still to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at the current tyres. Nobody is on Inters anymore, so it looks to me that Woolley does not get the Inters pole here, unfortunately for him, as he will now be on an out lap on the softs. And, yeah, about 5 seconds gap at the moment from Woolley to pole. He'll, of course, be going for the pole position here, with Ben Mills currently on pole. Currently setting another lap. Let's see what the split's going to be like. Up on his time.
He's up on his time as he now heads through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. And now, as we head into Copse Corner, of course, the middle sector split is just after Brooklands. DRS will now be open down the National Pitch Straight. You do gain a lot of speed through here, and you've got to take the right line. If you just drift a little bit wide through Woodcote, you're going to see yourself, unfortunately, lose quite a bit of time as he now heads into Brooklyn. It seemed nice. It seemed quite smooth so far over that middle sector split. Now he's lost a bit of time, though, through that middle part of the lap. So he's only he's down by 1/100th of a second as he then hits the brakes hard into this next right-hander. Hopefully this Ferrari doesn't get into his way too much. Oh, no. Drops the rear out of the loop. That's lap over. And for Ben Mills, he won't find an improvement. But the question is, what is Josh Woolley doing on his lap?
Let's switch over to Josh, and Josh is currently up on his lap as you would expect, but perhaps not as much as he'd want to be with a 5-second gap still. and only being up by 1.5 seconds through the first sector.
Yeah, he now makes his way through Luffield. And now we'll see as he heads through that middle sector split, how much is he up by? He's up by 3.5 seconds. I think he's on par with what Ben Mills was doing in that middle part of the lap last time. So we'll see if the fortune favours the sister car of Josh Woolley as he heads now through Village. And now he's going to make his way all the way to that start-finish line. It's a difficult final corner just to not understeer wide at. And up to the line comes Josh Woolley. Will it be pole? No, just misses out by 0.2 of a second as Liam Doherty goes that little bit quicker by 0.09 of a second. He goes to second fastest. What about Alex Lansdale, who, of course, we saw was very strong on the intermediates, actually beating Woolley by 1/10. So the Red Bull driver will still be making his way to the line. But for Ben Mills, his first lap still holds firm against two competitors. As Alex Lansdale is unfortunately backs out of things and he's got to go again now.
Yeah, I don't know how much the tyres will be wearing here on this reverse circuit, but I would guess it's maybe slightly higher than they normally would on the normal circuit. Simply because, as you mentioned to me earlier, the corners are very tight going in, and they open as you exit, which to me would mean that you brake incredibly hard and turn as hard as you can, and then power early, which, I don't know, from my experience, for me, that's usually wears tires more than the other way around, but I don't know, maybe you have some other insight that may just prove everything I said wrong.
No, you've actually got it spot on, I think, there. This circuit, compared to the normal layout, the tyre wear is a lot higher because, of course, you are on the power a lot more. You're carrying more speed through the corners, and it just puts those tyres through a lot more pain and a lot more suffering as we see Lansdale up by 3.8 seconds through that middle sector and setting relatively the same time as Woolley and Doherty, but he's gone a bit hot on the brakes into the loop. That could potentially cost him a little bit of time. Of course, he's already done a bit of a push lap on this tyre as Luke Sawyer now goes to the top, only just though. But what about Alex Lansdale? He only goes 6th fastest, lost a bit of time.
There we
in
go.
the final sector. But for Luke Sawyer, he now hits the top spot. He had a real standout race last time in Imola before the safety car. And now once again, the Mercedes man could be taking pole position here in Silverstone with 4 minutes and 30 left on the clock. Lansdale and Sawyer need to get back to pit lane quickly. Everybody else will be coming out for their final runs ever so shortly. It's all about drivers on a run. Last gen Newt, down in 17th at the moment, is heading through that middle sector.
Also, I didn't see what happened to CT08, but they are no longer in the qualifying session. They will, at best, be starting in 10th place, which is not an ideal start for them, but they are fairly experienced drivers, so I'm sure they can make up some positions during the race.
Yeah, they surely should be able to make it through. As Last Gen now heads through the end of this middle sector, as unfortunately Jake has left the session. Hopefully he can get back in so he could do his final run of this qualifying. Here comes Last Gen Of course, the man second in the standings. Can he take pole position? No. 4th fastest, separating Josh Woolley and Liam Doherty. Just look how close it is between them three. And it's Doherty, of course, who's 4th in the standings, topping those three in the qualifying order. So Doherty, Newt, and Josh Woolley, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, all lining up in that order. And if it was Last Gen Newt and Josh Woolley flipped around here, Dan, we would see the top 6 in the championship all in reverse order.
That would be pretty interesting to see. They should theoretically all finish at the exact same time then, surely.
Yeah, You surely think they would, as Ben Mills is actually on his lap. So this is a crucial lap when it comes down to that pole position battle. He was down in the middle sector last time around. He's up in the middle sector this time around, a 10th.5 to the good on his previous best. And this will certainly take him to the top of the times. But of course, with Luke Sawyer, Liam Doherty, Newt and Josh Woolley all still coming for another run. It was a little bit of a wobble out of the loop as he now makes his way to that start-finish line now. Ben Mills, has he got what it takes for pole position? Or has he just lost a little bit too much time? Up to the line he goes. He snatches pole position back. Found an extra 0.04 of a second in the middle sector, but we still are going to be waiting for some replies as the rest of the field now come out onto the road as Tabin and Jinka are on their lap times. It's actually Jinka who's heading through that middle sector split as last gen Newt doesn't have time to go again and retires from the session. So the man second in the standings, only good enough for fourth here this evening in qualifying.
Yeah, and of course he's got Woolley right behind him. Woolley on an out lap right now, and I'm sure there will be some upsets tonight. But here we've got Jinka coming through the third sector and heading towards the line. We've got a few more drivers about to be starting their laps. You can see them snaking their way down on the bottom of the map, but here we go, Jinka across the line, and that is not an improvement. Time for one more lap, though, I believe.
Yes, there is time for one more lap. Yeah, there's time for one more lap here for Jinka as he can now push on this time around. You can see that he's doing just that through Dope and now making his way to the end of that first sector. Tabin will be coming up to the line. He's up by 700ths in that middle sector. Can he find an improvement to potentially go into the top 10? Does find an improvement, not good enough to improve his position though. Josh Woolley is on a lap time as things currently stand. Not sure where on the circuit he is, as he's actually just come out of the first chicane. So let's go on board. Let's stay on board of this one with Josh Woolley as he makes his way through now, and DRS open. Alderstowe down that hangar straight. First sector split coming up for the man third in the standings. He's up by 700ths of a second. He'll need to find 0.4 of a second if he wants to snatch pole position away from his teammate Ben Mills. Liam Doherty and Luke Sawyer will be following in tail as Ben Mills retires from the session, knowing his lap is all he can do. So now he will sit in the garage and just bite his fingernails. He'll wait for the rest of the field to finish off their laps. So Josh Woolley now heading through Luffield as he slowly puts that power back on. You want to go flat out just before leaving a little bit of a lift through Brooklands, through the middle sector split now with Josh Woolley. He's up by 0.5 second in the middle sector. I said he'll need to find 0.4 of a second. He's not done that. He's added an extra 10th to it as he makes his way now through the loop and then in to Village Curve for Josh Woolley. The man that's third in the championship after so much unfortunate. He was able to pick up a race victory last time in Imola. Can he back it up with a pole position? To the line he goes. He does take pole position away, but only just. He lost a 10th in that final sector. Luke Sawyer and Liam Doherty, what are you doing on your laps as Ender Epic finishes in 6th? Alex Lansdale's up by a 10th. What about Luke Sawyer as he's going to be making up his way to the line ever so shortly? He's down in the middle sector, but has he found anything in the final part of the lap? I think Liam Doherty's following just in tow. Sawyer to the line, can't improve. Next will be Doherty, and he goes into pit lane. Josh Woolley looking ever better for this pole position as we see Jake to the line. He can't find an improvement. Alex Lansdale goes to 6th, just misses out on P5. Here comes Alpha to the line. Where can he go as he crosses the line? Now he goes 7th fastest as Assassin made his way up into 9th, and that's going to be qualifying all over and done with. Josh Woolley takes pole position. He backs up his race victory with the pole in the following round, and Thunderino Pilacoris will need to maybe start looking behind him after this race, because Josh Woolley is certainly coming at him with sheer intent.
Absolutely, well said there. Josh Woolley on a redemption arc now, going to be going for the race when I'm sure of it. Who wouldn't? But Josh Woolley has it all to lose now. He could be mounting a challenge for the championship here, and this race may be the decider for that. There we go. Qualifying is officially over. Josh Woolley on pole position. And I forgot who was in second and third because I am so very observant.
It was Ben Mills. So it's a Williams 1-2 here in their home race, followed by Luke Sawyer in third. Then we have Liam Doherty fourth, Newt in fifth, Alex Lansdale sixth, Alpha seventh, Ender Epic eighth, Assassin in ninth, and Jake will round out your top 10. CTOA after that early, of course, collision with the wall, I think, was 11th. And the rest of the field following in tow. But for Josh Woody, a crucial pole position. When you're 70 points behind the man leading the championship with 50 on offer, he's going to pick up 51 if he wins tonight. It is certainly much needed points.
Absolutely. I mean, it looks like the weather is going to be on his side. It looks a little cloudy, but I don't think it's going to rain unless it does much later in the race. So all he has to do now is keep position, which we'll have to see how the start goes. I honestly don't know what to expect from the start here. The first corner looks like it could be chaos. Absolute chaos. Yep. Particularly for a BUSR lobby.
It certainly could be chaos. Of course, it's so fast and then it narrows up so much over the course of that first couple of corners, because of course it's club instantly into the Vale chicane, and yeah, we could certainly see some contact, especially with such a short run as well to the start to that first corner. It means the cars don't have much time to really spread themselves out until we get to that first corner. Hopefully we'll be getting underway ever so shortly, and we are. Of course, it's Woody from Mills on the front row of the grid, and we're underway here in Silverstone. It seemed to be a very good start from Woody. Ben Mills, though, will draw alongside. He's had a better second stage to this start, but he's not able to draw alongside. Cars off in the background, destroying meter boards as they go, but everybody so far seems to have made it through unscathed. But it is Josh Woody with a dream start from pole position. Alex Lansdale trying to hunt down last gen new, but he's coming under a little bit of pressure from Alpha behind. Jake's been overtaken by GM and Jinka, as we actually see one of the Ferraris, I think that's CT08, just drifting to the left-hand side. I don't think there's going to be any moves made through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel as we head into Cop's corner. But for Josh Woody, it's not a dream start because he's only a 10th clear of his teammate, who's now trying to go round the outside through Cops. What a move that would have been if he was able to pull that one off, but he is going to fight back now as he looks to the outside line. There's a car off in the background. That was huge. That was CT08 going off as Ben Mills actually goes into the back of Josh Woody, potentially picking up some damage, and Luke Sawyer says, "Thank you very much. I'll take second place from you," and the Mercedes splits the Williams pair.
Yeah, let's see what happened to CT08 there. Doesn't look... Oh, and there's a McLaren off the road. It doesn't look like there was a collision. He's missing a front left end plate, but here we have back at the front a fight between Wooly Blobs, Luke Sawyer and Ben Mills for P1. Liam Doherty is not far behind though. He may capitalize on some chaos later as well.
He certainly might capitalise as Ben Mills has dropped back ever so slightly from Luke Sawyer, and is this now the Mercedes' turn at having an opportunity against the Williams of Josh Woody? Of course, DRS is now enabled, and we'll be looking to try and break it past the Williams drive, but of course it's two DRS zones so closely put together as well. You've only got a couple of corners which are quite difficult to shake some people off, as Alex Lansdale and Alpha are still squabbling over position, as Lansdale's actually dropped a second to last gen new. And is this going to be Luke Sawyer's opportunity down the national pitch straight and into Luffield, or is he just going to sit behind for now? The DRS will be open. Let's see what the Mercedes driver can do.
I think he's just a little too far back here to make a move, unfortunately for him, but fortunately for Wooly, there's no more DRS for the remainder of the lap, and he can just maybe chill for a moment down the straight here.
Yes, he certainly can. Just take a moment to think about the rest of this race. How's he going to play this one out? And as you can see on the tyre front, everybody on the mediums except for Buckets Gaming, who's on the hards. So expect him to drop back quite a margin over this race. Of course, we are expecting a two-stop strategy here in this 26-lap race, as we see the drivers head across the line. Ben Mills a little bit closer to Luke Sawyer this time around. Just not going to go for that move. Of course, it's very risky to go for a move through Club and Vale. Very easy to make contact and spin around. That's the thing as well here on a reverse circuit, isn't it, Dan? There may be plenty of overtaking opportunities, but they've just become that little bit more riskier, especially with the fact you carry so much speed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen drivers locking up their rears into a few of the corners here just by the nature of the corner in this reverse format. And if you're trying to make an overtake and you lock up your rears, it's not going to go well.
No, it's not going to go well at all. As we now see DRS open once again. Heading down into Luffield. No move being made there. Is it going to look like any moves being made further back? No, it does not. Everybody about half a second away from each other. The real big gaps are between Alpha and Assassin, and then also Dale to Newt. They just have dropped back ever so slightly. But of course, with this race, it's going to keep ebbing and flowing. Of course, tyre management is going to be absolutely crucial. Yes, we're on a two-stop. You can be a bit more aggressive. But tyre management is still key, because once you hit around about 20 to 25%, those front tyres, they just die off. They give no grip. They hit that cliff, and you start to hemorrhage so much time. So you can't be too aggressive in these opening stages of the race, or even the opening stages of your stints, because you've just got to allow yourself that time to just save those tyres. And then when you get to that pit window here, Dan, that's when you can start to push and maybe trick over to that 20% mark, because you may have potentially saved your tyres a little bit better than the rest.
Yeah, and I mean, what kind of tyres are we looking at here? I'd assume it's mediums and hards. And judging by how most people have started on the mediums, they'll be looking at medium, hard, medium here today. But what are your insights on this?
Yeah, I'm expecting potentially a medium, hard, medium. I wouldn't be surprised if we see someone try doing medium soft, or a medium soft medium if it two stops quicker. But we'll just have to wait and see. And actually, Ben Mills might now attack Luke Sawyer up into Luffield. He just elected to back out of that one. I think Ben Mills knows that it's crucial to keep within that DRS of Josh Woody, because if they start to squabble and they lose that DRS, Josh Woody just going to shoot off down the distance. He's going to just fly away and go over the horizon. So for Sawyer and Mills, they've just got to keep playing this one quite safe. And also, they can't afford to potentially make contact, as Mills potentially looked for it there through into Village. But with Josh Woody so close as well, you're kind of boxed in if you try to make an overtake.
Yeah, I mean, we were speculating whether overtakes will be easy, hard here, whether we'll see many, or if it's going to be a procession. And although I think overtakes are definitely possible, it's more likely that this will be close to a procession. Not that it won't be interesting by any means, but at least in the early stages here, nobody wants to risk it.
No, nobody wants to risk it all. Picking up some unnecessary front wing damage will ruin your race entirely. So
and Ben may already have some front wing damage from his collision earlier, and that's Luke Sawyer spinning it. Nice save out of the barriers, though.
That is a big moment, not only in terms of the championship when it comes to that top 5 battle, but in terms of this race as well. Luke Sawyer, he was doing so well in this one to keep Woody under pressure. Is that Ender Epic slowing? It is Ender Epic slowing, potentially getting a illegal overtake there on Luke Sawyer, which if he did would have been very unfortunate, because he's lost 3 places thanks to that. But for Luke Sawyer, who was running second in this race, I think he's potentially just got a little bit too happy with the curb, a little bit too eager going over it. It's unsettled the car, sent it round, and now he's got a lot of work to do, because look at those gaps from GM, who he's now overtaken to the inside into the loop. That's brave if he can get that done on the inside. I don't think he will, but he's got 2 seconds then to gain to Alpha, an extra second to an Assassin, and in 2 seconds from Lansdale to Newt, as he's now looking to the inside into Abbey. No move being made as Ender Epic comes into pit lane.
Yeah, that was crazy there for Luke Sawyer, and very unfortunate. But that's what I was saying, like, it's going to be very easy to lock up your rears on this version of the track, just due to the nature of the corners. And even if not trying to do an overtake, it's still very much possible, just trying to be on pace. And I don't know, maybe it was just a lapse of judgment there for Luke Sawyer or something, but that just shows how easy it may be, because we haven't seen that kind of stuff happen before.
No, we haven't at all. And yeah, I think, as I say, I think you just got a little bit too happy with the curb. I've had it happen to myself sometimes around that corner. If you just get a little bit too much of the sausage curb that's on the inside of Beckett's, you just seem to lose that little bit of grip. The car bounces and it just ends up going around on you. It does not work well at all, as both Ender Epic and CT08 have come into pit lane. Last gen Newt's dropped a lot of time over the course of this previous tour to Liam Doherty, so we've now got 3 for the lead as it currently stands. Be surprised if this is a 2-stop, we see some of these drivers in. But the big issue here for Ben Mills and Josh Woolley, potentially not for Woolley, but more for Mills, is the fact that one of them will have to stay out longer. And actually, it's Ben Mills who comes in first.
That is interesting. I wonder if that's maybe due to the damage that he has, potentially, on his front wing from his earlier collision. Let's see what tires he puts on. If it's the hards, then he may be trying to go long here for a while, and then switching back to the mediums for the very end. Yeah, I mean, I do think it's going to be a medium-hard, medium strategy overall, but going on hards this early would indicate to me that he's trying to do a very long stint now.
Yeah, I think this stint, he's probably going to go to about lap 18, 19, and then go on to a set of the mediums at the very end. But there we see Ben Mills and Newt into pit lane. Same with Alex Lansdale too, as Alpha is now coming under all... Actually, no, he's actually trying to put some pressure onto Assassin. He's found some time over the past couple of laps, as he now makes his way down that national pit straight. Of course, Josh Woolley and Liam Doherty, now they've seen Ben Mills come into pit lane, unless they're extending for a soft tyre here, Dan, they're surely going to respond now before they get before Woolley gets undercut and Liam Doherty loses that DRS.
Yeah, so I mean, as you say, got to come in at some point, and yeah, the undercut. I don't know how strong is the undercut here today. Do you reckon?
It's quite strong because, of course, this circuit, the tyres wear quite quickly, and you need a lot of mechanical grip and tyre grip to keep up that pace you have. As there's a yellow flag, I think that could be for Ender Epic or potentially House.
It is
who's
for...
that yellow flag? Or is it Yusuf?
I thought it was for Red Bull in the pit lane, but maybe not.
Ah, he might have locked the rears coming into the pits. That can happen, locking the rears into the pits. It's quite a stop, and of course you're heading downhill as well, so it's quite easy to lock the rear tyres down the hill. I thought it was for House, but no, he seems to be okay for now. As we see Yusuf come around the final corner. Ender Epic, of course, has dropped down a few places. He's down to 10th place, as he's now making his way through the corners. Or did he pick unfortunately pick up that yellow flag and some damage with it? Not too sure. But for Josh Woolley and Liam Doherty, they have stayed out that little bit longer here. They're trying to go all the way to at least potentially lap 10 and seeing what Tyler can go for there. I say this, they're probably going to come into pit lane this time around.
I mean, yeah, let's see. It's just around the corner here. I would probably stay out for one more lap, but it's up to them, of course, and it looks like Woolley is staying out for one more lap, as is Liam Doherty. What about the drivers behind? Alpha has yet to pit, and he is heading into the pit lane now.
Into the pit lane then comes Alpha from what was 3rd place in the Grand Prix. It will have dropped down, so you get a flag in the 3rd sector. Again, I think that one, I think, is for House, as he now comes into pit lane. I think he was just struggling with some grip out of that final corner.
Yeah, and Ben Mills with the fastest lap now on hards. So, obviously those hards are working very well for him. And that's actually surprising. Like, the fuel load wouldn't be all that much lower at this point in the race, surely, but maybe the hards are just that good today. Yeah,
it does actually seem that they might be. Of course, Josh Woolley and Doherty, their tyres are going to be at a real bad point at this stage. They are going to be with some real horrid wear, and they're going to surely be in the next couple of laps. But I wouldn't be surprised if Ben Mills comes out 2 to 3, maybe even 4 seconds clear of Josh Woolley as Doherty loses that DRS. That might now entice him to come into the pit lane. But this undercut, it might have worked into Ben Mills' hands. But of course, these guys will have the fresher tyres, and it'll hopefully make them pay dividends come the end of the stint. But they stout once again. So I have a feeling here, Dan, the more I see it, the more I feel like Woolley and Doherty are potentially going to try to stick this out for softs.
I think so too. Either that, or they may be going for a one-stop. If they can do one more lap, I think it's possible for them to take the hards to the end.
That certainly could be on the cards. Of course, they said it was 3 seconds slower. That's not a big margin. It's not like a 30 seconds slower or a 20 seconds slower or even a 10 seconds slower. It's only 3. And if you can manage your tyres right, you could actually see yourself get in a really good position from this. So you never know. It could be a total of these guys doing the one stop versus Mills, Newt and Dell doing the 2 stops. And we could then see the strategies converge. This could be a very interesting race on the strategy front.
Yeah, come to the end. This could be absolutely fantastic. What's happening over here, though? Some position swaps happening. Luke Sawyer getting a bit of a takedown on Ender Epic, and something else happened further back. I think Luke Sawyer is just trying to make up all the positions he can at the moment, following his earlier half spin, which was so close to ending his race. But at the moment, he's not doing too badly. Slowly getting back up there.
Slowly making his way out through the order. Of course, he has had some big gaps to close down over the course of this race since that spin. He's actually been able to catch up to the back of Assassin. So let's see what he can do now as he tries to hunt down the Alpine. Of course, this race could look so much different if Luke Sawyer didn't have that half spin, as we see Josh Woolley and Liam Doherty come into pit lane. They're onto a set of the hards. Are they going to the end? I mean, 14 laps doesn't seem too much of an ask on those hards. I think this is really going to be all the way down to the final parts of this race, as they've actually come out behind Alex Lansdale, and they've got to try and beat the likes of Assassin and Luke Sawyer out of the pit lane. And they just about have.
Yeah, so they are now... Woolley is now... Or what is that? About 7.5... No, about 10 seconds. Over 10 seconds behind Ben Mills. So the undercut from Ben has obviously done wonders for him. And this is now going to be maybe a bit of a challenge for Woolley to catch up. But if he is on the one stop and Ben has to pit again, then... I mean, so far it doesn't look like overtakes have been too easy. So it could very well go Woolley's way come the end of the race if he doesn't pit again.
Yeah, it certainly could be 10 seconds, and of course you lose about 25 to 30 in the pit lane. It will be close. It will certainly be very, very close as we see these guys. Now, as we actually see Luke Sawyer to the inside of Assassin into the loop. Is this going to work out? There was nearly contact through Aintree. He's going to try and force Assassin as wide as he possibly can. He will fight back into the next left-hander, but it is Luke Sawyer who comes out on top there. And to be honest as well here, if Luke Sawyer could potentially pull off this two-stop as well, as we actually see Ender Epic versus Alpha in this one, and Alpha has to be able to get by as Ender Epic backs out around the outside. There was contact between the pair as Assassin just went deep into Vale. This might now also allow Assassin to unfortunately lose the position to Alpha, but no, he's just going to have to sit behind his defeat car. I was about to say that if Luke Sawyer does this two-stop and potentially comes in rather soon, he could actually see himself onto the back of Doherty and Josh Woolley by the end of this race. So this can certainly all ebb and flow. And for Luke Sawyer, he's not done bad to keep up with the race leaders. Yes, they're on different strategies, but he's actually back with the drivers he spun behind.
Yeah, I think for Luke here, as soon as he starts losing, like, significant pace, which unfortunately actually looks like maybe happening around now. That being said, is probably just depending on the exact corners he's at. No, tangent aside, if once he starts losing significant pace, maybe he gets 4 seconds behind, then maybe a good time to pit, to do the undercut.
It certainly could be, at least in the next couple of laps, at the very least, to try that undercut. But
He would have to go onto the hards to make it to the end of the race, I think, if he was to pit this soon again. So a double hard stint. He would have to do a really good last stint here. Assuming that Wooly and Doherty would be pitting. But if they're not pitting, then I'm not sure.
If you're Josh Woolley and Liam Doherty and you've stayed out this long, you've hemorrhaged so much track position, you've lost so much time, you've surely got to be on the one stop here. Because I don't see a reason why you wouldn't, if you're not on the one stop, why you wouldn't react to Ben Mills and last Gen U. Because they have lost so much time. Well, I mean, the gap's come down. It's now about 9 seconds between Ben Mills and Josh Woolley. But yeah, they've got to be on that one-stop strategy. You've got to think that, because they've just cost themselves some dear time. And by the time they've got to come back in again for the two-stop, they will just fall out behind. So yeah, I think they definitely have gone for the one-stop. And the strategic battle we now have between Mills, Doherty and Woolley is certainly going to come into play, as Ender Epic has actually just been overtaken by Jinka.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the overtake happened. I missed the arrows indicating that it happened, but yeah, probably not quite the race Ender Epic would have wanted, and that is a big slide through that corner, taking the life out of those tires too early potentially.
Certainly would take a lot of life out of those tires. As we now see heading up into the, of course, first couple of corners. And Epic still occupying 10th place, so will score some points still. But also being just falling down the order as much as he already has. Really does not help in his favour, as we now see Josh Woolley on the back of Alex Landau. He's going to go to the outside of the Red Bull through Copse. What a move this would be. And it is a brilliant move. It was bold, it was brave, it was beautiful. And Josh Woolley sees himself through. Is Liam Doherty going to do the same thing up into Luffield? No, it just doesn't seem like he is close enough. So for Josh Woolley, in his race against the Aston Martin, he's been able to find his way by the Red Bull, put a car in between himself and also Liam Doherty. And he might be able to streak off into the distance before Doherty's able to get by, as we now head up into the loop. Are we going to see the Aston Martin dive to the inside? I don't think so. And Josh Woolley can now extend that gap ever so slightly over Doherty over the next few corners.
Yeah, the Aston is really close there on the rear of Dale, but it doesn't look like an overtake is really feasible at this very moment, and that is allowing Woolley to get into this massive lead. Already a second clear of Dale, which is going to make it incredibly difficult for Liam to catch back up.
Liam, he will need a miracle to catch back up now to Josh Woolley, as that gap's 1.4 between Lansdale and Josh. As we see to the inside now through Chapel. What is he going to pull off a beautiful move around the outside as well? Yes, he is. Look at that from Liam Doherty. Against Alex Lansdale. It was just not a competition. The difference in grips was mega. And there was nothing that the Aston Martin driver could do. So that gap now between Ben Mills and Josh Woolley has come down to 8 seconds. So the gap is slowly shrinking here, Dan. But the question is, will it shrink enough by the time Ben Mills and Newt come into pit lane?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking Woolley might be slowing down on purpose here to let Liam catch back up, to string him along on this DRS, because he just lost basically a second of time in only half a lap. I don't see any other reason why that would have happened. And strategically, that is probably their defense against Luke and Ben Mills. If they help each other out now, then they could be much further up the road later.
They could be much further up the road. We're going to have to just see how this one now plays out, and how these drivers now face the challenges ahead. Of course, we've now got 11 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and it is Ben Mills who leads the way from last Gen U. Of course, our championship leader Thunderino, Chris Pitacoris, is unfortunately not here this evening, as we see a squabble between Alpha and Assassin. This battle has been raging on for the past couple of laps. And just like that, are we going to see Alpha go for the move? No, we are not. He's just going to sit behind for now, as GM is into the pit lane once more. He'll go into a set of the hards, you would think, to go to the end. And by the time Mills comes into pit lane here, Dan, I'm expecting the likes of Wooly and Doherty to probably be about 6 to 7 seconds back. So it does reduce that margin for Mills to bring down. But with only about 10 laps to go, it's going to be difficult to get close enough, you would think.
I think it will be very difficult to get close up, particularly if there's traffic in the way. I mean, we don't know when everybody else is planning to pit, but Ben Mills pitting right now, actually. Surely at this point, going to be going for hards again. I can't see it being mediums. I don't think they can last long enough at the pace that he will need to do.
Sure, let's have a look.
And it looks like it is another set of hards.
Yes, it is another set of hards. So they are going to go for that 2-stop onto the hards. How far back, though, have they come out in relation to Doherty and also Josh Woolley? So they are going to be...
It is very far.
It is very, very far back. So they have come out... so Ben Mills has come out 2 seconds behind Jinka, who's 4 seconds. So they've come out around about 18 seconds back from Josh Woolley and Liam Doherty. That is a huge margin. There was a yellow flag in the second sector, and I think that actually might have been for Josh Woolley, who's lost quite a bit of time to Liam Doherty, or potentially Alpha just behind. No, that would have been Buckets Gaming, sorry, brought that out, as he's now a lap down. But for Ben Mills, he's got 18 seconds to try and find in 10 laps. So that's about 2 seconds a lap he needs to find.
That is the pace he needs to be doing if he wants to get an overtake done on Woolley by the end of this race, which he may be able to do for the first few laps here, but if he's pushing that hard, even the hard tyres will fall off too quick, I think.
I don't think he's going to get close enough at this stage, as Buckets Gaming picks up a 10 seconds, followed by Youssef picking up a 3 seconds, as Jinka just gets out of the way of Ben Mills and goes into pit lane himself. But as we now make our way to the start-finish line, Alpha also came into pit lane, so now we can see a constant gap between Doherty and Josh Woolley. Doherty and Ben Mills. And it's 17.5 seconds. 9 to go in this Grand Prix. It's certainly going to come all the way down to the wire.
Absolutely, and many people are now pitting. Different strategies here to note. So we've got a few people pitting onto the mediums now, back onto the mediums. A few people pitting onto the hards for a second stint on those. And yeah, I don't know exactly what kind of pace to expect here, but pitting with more than like 6 or 7 laps to the end of the race, I think you should be going into hards personally, but I don't know, maybe these guys are just really good at managing the mediums. We will have to see by the end of the race what their pace is like, I guess.
Yeah, we certainly will see how their pace now potentially suffers, as of course, Ben Mills, look at that. He's actually brought that gap down by the time they crossed the line by about 2 seconds. As Josh Woolley and Liam Doherty now gets into a squabble. This is not what they need. They don't need to squabble, because at this rate, they are going to, unfortunately, lose too much time to Ben Mills. So they've got to make sure, if they do swap places, if they do do the strategic swap, they don't lose time overall. They've just got to get it done down the straights, because that gap in the past lap's come down by 3 seconds to Ben Mills. This race is well and truly on. And for Liam Doherty, he's close once again to Josh Woolley. Is he going to get it done into Luffield?
Yeah, I think that swapping of positions here is more strategic than anything else. But they have, in the last lap or so, have lost about 3 seconds of time, maybe more, which is not ideal for them at all. That being said, they have still got about 7 laps to go here. Is that going to be enough for Ben Mills to get an attack on?
Going to be close. It is certainly going to be close. This is the yellow flag for Tabin, who's unfortunately retired in the pit lane. Alex Lansdale now squabbling away with Luke Sawyer, who's recovered quite well. He's up to 5th place now, is Sawyer, as he now sees himself, unfortunately, fall to Lansdale. Or does he, as he now makes his way through Luffield and into Brooklyn's corner? And the Red Bull does see his way through, but Sawyer's now going to just try and squabble back up into the loop. He'll keep this one to the inside. Of course, we see him get past Assassin this way as Lansdale goes a little bit wide, and it's actually forced Luke Sawyer to go through, and he goes deep on the brakes, but Dale has to sit behind. He's just not able to get that move done. Brilliant work from Luke Sawyer to keep hold of that 5th place, but you don't think it's going to be for long, as over the course of that previous lap, once again, 2 seconds found from Ben Mills onto Doherty. Oh, it is really bringing that gap down. So 7 laps, 11 seconds, well, 12 seconds, should I say, really, he needs to bring down. He still needs to keep up that 2 seconds a lap pace. And he's probably got to hope as well that Woolley and Doherty start to squabble.
I'm sure he will be hoping for that squabble, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Woolley and Doherty will be too smart for that. They know the risk and how much time they will lose from it. I think if they do squabble, it will be on the last lap for position. But yeah, Ben Mills closing that gap down bit by bit. Almost just over 6 laps left to go here of the race, and yeah, we just have to know like what his tires are doing. I don't think we can know, but let's have a look at his pace here in a sec. What kind of lap times is he setting? So Woolley just set a 1:30.6. Ben Mills
set a 28.7, so he is still 2 seconds a lap quicker.
Yeah, that is very good pace from Ben here. But can he keep it up? Will those tyres hold out long enough?
That is the main question. Can he keep up this pace? Of course, for Mills as well here, Dan, is the fact that he, of course, is on those fresher tyres. He came in a lot later than Woolley and Doherty. So he just has free rein to pretty much just keep pumping in lap after lap after lap after lap and just keep pushing this tyre to its absolute limit. Where the likes of Doherty and Woolley, of course, where they're on the one stop and they're on such old tyres, they've got to save so much, especially through the likes of Luffield and Brooklands. So they then just hemorrhage so much time. And that's where you see Ben Mills find this time. It was 11.9 by the time they reached Copse Corner last time around. And by the time Ben Mills was done with Brooklands, he brought it down to 10.5. And it's going to be the same again once here. Look at that, 9.7. And then once you get through the loops and of course, Village Corner, he's probably going to bring it down to 9 seconds. So Ben Mills is doing such exceptional pace right now. A little lock up there, but he's able to brake so much later, getting the power so much later, that he's just able to fly up to the back of them.
Yeah, and I mean, the gap is just being brought down further and further. The lap count is slowly ticking up. There's fewer and fewer laps to go here. That being said, Ben Mills is starting to lose time compared to his best. So the tyres are definitely degrading. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see whose tyres degrade faster. Woolley's and Doherty's, or Ben Mills.
Certainly is the question. So as we now have 5 laps to go, Ben Mills is still on pace. He's still tracking on time. for a late race potential overtake on at least Liam Doherty and make it a Williams 1-2. And it's 8.5 now as we exit out of the cops. Let's see how it is as we get out of Brooklands. Of course, Doherty and Josh Willie aren't squabbling at the moment. I think they're waiting for those final few laps. That's another saving grace here for Ben Mills as he brings the gap as he comes out of Brooklands to 7.9. Or will it be 8.1? 8 be 7.9 as he puts the power back on. So for Ben Mills, oh, it's getting so close. It is so feisty at the front of this field. And it's just Ben Mills is about a second to the good on where he needs to be pace-wise.
And he's got so much clean air in front of him. He can just lock in and do some laps here. And that's all he needs to do. Just put in some good laps.
It just needs to be lap after lap after lap, of course. Kind of like the famous radio call that Michael Schumacher got at Hungary all those years ago, where it was 19 qualifying laps, please, Michael. For Ben Mills, it's been 11 qualifying laps, please, as he now exits out of Stoke. And we see that gap just shrink ever more as we've now got 4 laps in this Grand Prix. I think he's going to gain enough to potentially get Doherty. But I just think Josh Willie is that little bit too far-fetched. But we don't know unless the Williams and the Aston Martin start to squabble. Ben Mills could sneak through as he's about to bring that gap down to 6.9 seconds with last gen Ute behind as well. 11.7 seconds back. He's settled for 4th place, I think. And for Ben Mills, he is hunting the reigning champion. He's hunting for his first race victory for the season. Will it be our second repeat winner, taking back-to-back race victories in Josh Willie, taking 2 of the last 2? Or will we see our third different race winner of the season? It'll be 3 laps between us and that answer. And Ben Mills has brought that gap down now to 6 seconds.
Yeah, with only 3 laps to go, this is going to get very, very close. Because he now needs to be doing over 2 seconds per lap quicker. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be happening for Ben Mills. I think his tyres are starting to degrade a bit too much. We've got Willie and Doherty, however, still able to fight with each other on the last couple of laps. And I'm sure they will, once they know that they're in the clear too.
Yeah, certainly will be if they know that they are safe from Ben Mills behind, but at the moment they are not. So Ben Mills will need to bring that gap down to 4 seconds really if he wants any chance with 2 laps to go to be able to at least catch up. But if anything, you'll need to bring it down to about 3.5 if he wants a realistic shot at things. But he's losing time and he's not gaining as much as he once was, as Doherty of course has that DRS down these straights. He could just sit behind Josh Willie and gain some time down those first 2 straights. But it's now 5.5. I think the hards for Willie and Doherty are starting to fade. Is it going to be enough by the time we reach that 26?
What's happening in the midfield here, I wonder? Oh, and there's Assassin off in the gravel. Not a good race end here for Assassin.
No, Assassin was doing quite well as well in this race. He was up in the top 7. And unfortunately here, he's just had that spin. And that has brought him to an end of that good run. As Jake is actually battling with his teammate GM as they squabble over this 12th place. And with Youssef as well, as he will try now to get by through Cop's corner. Ben Mills, he's about half a second away from what he needs to be. And I think, unfortunately, at this time, for Ben Mills here, Dan, it's just a little bit too little too late. And he's just not going to get enough. So it is going to be Willie versus Doherty for this race victory.
I think so as well. So let's have a look here at our race leaders. Liam Doherty, able to mount an attack at any moment he chooses now. And it will probably be safe enough from Ben Mills. I would probably wait until the start of this final lap, though, which they are now coming up on.
They certainly are indeed. When we cross the line, it will be lap 26 of 26. The final lap here in Silverstone It has been an absolute slugfest between Mills, Woolley and Doherty over these past few laps. You could see the Williams driver in the background, but he's just going to fall 1 lap short, you would think, at this stage. So for Doherty, he's got to try and keep within a second of Josh Woolley, who's now just started to really streak clear as something happened to Liam Doherty because he's hemorrhaging time all the way down the straight.
I think Woolley has just let loose. He has been saving his tyres for the last 10 laps, and he is finally able to go at his true pace. I think that is the case. He has slowed down on purpose to let Liam catch up to him, as, I guess, late protection against Ben Mills.
Liam's just dropped so much time into Mills as well. So is there a potential issue for Liam Doherty here? Because he is driving really slowly at this stage. He was bleeding so much time down that main straight. Was there potential technical misfortunes for him there that has brought Ben Mills right into his grub? So it may not have been a battle for this race victory no more. It's going to be a battle for second place. Doherty versus Mills. But I just think Ben Mills is going to fall ever so surely short as we make our way through Luffield Corner. Or was Doherty a little bit short on the fuel load? Is that why he lifted off so much? As we now make our way out of Brooklands, and he will defend extremely aggressively to the inside line because he knows this is his opportunity for second place, and another race for in goes a begging for Liam Doherty. Mills will be all over the back of him, but at the front of the field, he's certainly capitalised when his championship rival is not here. It was disqualification to race victory last week. It's pole to race victory this week. Josh Woolley wins in Silverstone. A spectacular drive from the Brits as we come to the line with Mills and Doherty, and it's a photo finish, and Doherty's just able to hold on. Second place for the Aston Martin man after trouble in the final lap. But for Josh Woolley once again here, Dan, it was absolute domination here in Silverstone. Unlike coming through the field, he can do it from the very front, and that slices that gap to Pillacoris all the way down to a handful of points. This championship certainly has come back alive.
Absolutely. Pillacoris only needs to have one poor race from now on, and the championship is as good as gone. He will have to come back next week fighting with all he has, or else Woolley could be looking at the championship himself. But we've still got a few cars coming across the line here. Ginka finishing the race now. CT08, not their strongest performance today. I think a few mishaps, and let's have a look at these penalties. Yeah, lots of drivers have picked up penalties today. I think that's not unexpected. Some of these corners you can go very wide on, and a few people sped in the pit lane. As, yeah, I think that sums up their feelings about the race there.
No, I certainly think it does, as we see House and then finally Buckets Gaming come across the line. But for Josh Woolley, a big important win in the championship, and now that fight is well and truly alive. So as we see him make his way to the podium, a nice little dancey dance for the top set for our race winner. And around such a unique configuration, it all came down to the final couple of laps, and that pace just fell off for Ben Mills enough that Josh Woolley was able to hold on to that race victory. But of course, this also means that with both Woolley and Pillacoris using their drop rounds here, Dan, it certainly is going to be game on, because now it's going to be all about the performances to the rest of the season. They don't have that safety net anymore.
Yeah, with only 3 races to go this season, I do not remember the tracks, but only 3 races to go, that does not leave much room for error at all. Whoever can win the next 2 is likely going to be placing the one hand on the trophy.
Yes, they certainly will. And those next races are Las Vegas, which is a sprint race next time out, then Singapore and Baku to round off the season. Oh, it is certainly going to be very eventful. 3 street circuits to end this one off. It really will be all the way down to the wire. Hard racing indeed. But this championship really has come alive. And the thing is, you still can't even count out drivers like Lars Genyu. Yes, it was a 4th place finish, but that's still, again, more valuable points, and Newt's not used these drop rounds yet, so he could potentially use it here at Silverstone and just negate the amount of points he lost.
Absolutely, yeah. But are we ready to talk to some people for interviews, do you think?
Yes, certainly are.
I think so. Let's go with third place, Ben Mills. Hello, Ben, and well, congratulations on P3, but I think not quite what you were looking for there. Talk us through your race.
Yeah, I mean, I had a feeling that Joshua was going to go for the one stop after practice and how we sort of prepared for the race. I tried the two. I thought it was the less risky option, but it turned out it was just a little bit too far off for to beat the one stop.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, go on, Max.
Oh, no, you go on first. We'll do your questions and we'll do mine. I think we should work it like that.
No, I thought you first because I already forgot what I wanted to say.
Okay. Right, but yeah, congratulations on that, Ben. Was it just a case of boxing one lap too late on that final stint, or was it just you're a bit more optimistic about the strategy than it overly was?
I think it's more so the latter option. I don't think I could have really done anything. I think the one stop was just the better strategy, really. So yeah, I mean, I chose the wrong choice. But fair enough to Josh and Liam for making it work. I mean, I was in a call with Liam and he was on 98% on the final lap, so I think he got pretty lucky not to get a puncture. Whereas Josh, I think he managed the tyres a bit better, so he made it work. So fair play.
Yeah, and what were your tyres like towards the end there?
I mean, I was pushing flat out the whole race, so I think I was definitely above 60%. I probably was above 70%. So, but yeah, I was pushing flat out and clean air the whole race, which made it an interesting race.
And I mean, next week we're heading to Las Vegas. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think you'll be able to come back stronger, or is it not a track you really like?
It's my least favorite track of the three that I left. However, if I can continue this form and get a podium in the last three races, I can't be upset. And hopefully I can grab a win in that.
Well, if you've got nothing else to say, Max, I think congratulations on the P3. Good points haul, and yeah, best of luck in the future races.
Thank you.
Right, and up next, we've got Liam Doherty. Well,
yes,
big congrats on P2 there. Bit of a struggle from what I hear for you at the end there. Talk us through your race.
Yeah, it was a good qualifying considering the practice done. I was aiming for top 4, and in the race, I knew people were weighing up a 2-stop, so I knew I was going to go for something different, being the 1. And ended the first stint, my tyres were looking really sketchy for a 1-stop, but I'd committed to it. And then at the end there, I think Josh was only about 80% on the last lap when I was nearing 100. I think I finished on 98, so I had to just back off and take it super easy to just consolidate the P2.
Yeah, we of course we saw you slow down on that final lap. We at first we thought it was a technical issue. Then we slowly started to bring in the tyre wear theory. Just how difficult was it to get the power down in those final few laps? And of course that sheer dread of one small slide and the rear tyres are bursting.
Yeah, I actually felt like the tyres were fine and you could push, which is why the wear I think is so poor. But I just knew, I was just looking at it and I knew that if I pushed as hard as I was to try and overtake Josh, I was most likely getting a puncture and losing out on this podium. So I decided to just cash in my chips and slow down to consolidate the P2.
Was the one-stop strategy something you thought of you'd be doing, or is it something you just followed Josh into doing?
I knew before the race I was going to do the 1-stop because on this game it's so hard to overtake, and round Silverstone it's such a long pit lane that Ben made it really competitive, but I actually think if everyone did a one stop, it wouldn't have been as close as that, to be honest, if he had a bit more dirty air. But yeah, the one stop was definitely the strat I was going into the race with.
Yeah, of course. Next time out, we head to, since Sissy talking about cashing in your chips, we head to Las Vegas. First of all, are you going to be there? Second of all, how are you feeling around Vegas? Is it a track you enjoy, or is it one of the tracks where you're like, yeah, no thanks, I absolutely despise it?
Yeah, it's a bogey track for me, to be honest. It's really poor, but I'll give it my all.
Well, congratulations on the P2 once again, and hopefully we'll see you again in the future. Best of luck in the next few races.
I appreciate it. See you later, guys.
All right, and that leaves only one person. Josh Woolley, 2-time race winner this season. Hello and welcome. Congratulations on the race win. How was that?
Oh, that was a chaos, let's say. Qualifying, I was fairly happy with. There was a little bit more time in the lap, but I did enough. I think it was 300ths in the end, but we take the margins. As long as I'm on pole, I'm happy. Then the race, yes, that was... I knew I was going to one-stop. I got told by everyone in the voice chat that I was being one-stopped or I was being dethroned as the Overlord. So I obviously had to one-stop. Got very lucky that no one jumped me off the line, and then could just kind of control the pace from there. And then because they couldn't gap me in the first stint, the one-stop was made a lot easier, because then I could drive quite slowly and not get a puncture.
Yeah, what kind of tyre wear were you looking at towards the end there?
So I hit puncture territory, which is 80%, on the final lap. So I think I crossed the line with 81% tyre wear or something along those lines. But I know Liam was on almost 100%. So I wasn't too worried about him. I didn't expect him to one stop, to be honest. I sort of expected him, because I saw his deg early on was really quite bad. I expected him to two stop as well, but he risked it. He went for the Hail Mary and it paid off for him. He came second. Only just, but did come second in the end.
Yeah, he did just about in the end there. But of course, that race victory really opens up your championship chances. 3 more to go. Do you think Do you think this is on between you and Chris's?
I mean, so far this season, it's 3-2 to him. Austria could have been a win for me if I hadn't been disqualified. Mexico was very, very close. So, yeah, in a slightly different world, it could be 4-1 to me. So I'm fairly confident Vegas is probably my best track on the calendar. So, hopefully, we can go into the final few rounds and put on a good show.
Yeah.
Which of the remaining tracks do you feel most confident on?
Probably Vegas, considering it's the best track for me on the calendar, but I'll probably have some bad luck somewhere. But
well, as long as
Vegas,
you don't do a Cam Searle.
I shall try not to.
All right, well, thanks for talking to us, Josh. Max, any more questions?
Oh yeah, just one more for me, Josh. But yeah, of course, you say Vegas is your best track. It's the sprint as well, so double the points on offer. Surely you're looking into that one as if I take the sprint and the race victory, the championship lead ain't far off.
Yeah, absolutely. It's if I win both, the championship comes under 20 points, and that's if Chris's comes second in both. If Chris's has an issue at any point really for the rest of the season, because he's used his drop round now, it's game on.
Well, best of luck in the future then, Josh, and hopefully we'll see you here soon.
Cheers, guys.
All right, well, yeah, I think that sums up tonight's race, and yeah, thoughts on the future. Las Vegas next. Of course, we've got Las Vegas on the real life calendar as well, so plenty of Vegas coming up next week. Do you have any more thoughts on this, Max?
Yeah, I mean, I think Josh said that perfectly as well. It's now game on. This championship has come alive with this race here in Silverstone. So any mistake from either of them could see the championship over just like that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Vegas is very much an action-packed circuit. Of course, you have that strip, the long run down there. It's going to be intense. It's going to be a fun one as well. So make sure you guys all stick around for that one next week, because it could be a key moment in the championship.
Absolutely. So, yes, thank you all for watching today. And if you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, you know, the regular stuff. But if you'd like to come and join the races, head over to busr.gg/Discord and join our lovely community. We've got so many things going on. We've got Formula One, we've got Assetto Corsa, we've got Rally coming up soon in the future, hopefully. We've got iRacing on the week as well, and plenty more. Also, head over to Grid Finder, our sponsor, if you want to check out some other racing that's not us. But that's it from me. I'm Doom, being joined by Max. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.